Congratulations, Stratford MP re-elected Nadhim Zahawi. What did you make of this campaign and this result?
Well, Simon, thank you very much indeed. It is truly humbling to be re-elected to represent the people of Stratford-upon-Avon, for them to entrust me with their franchise, with their vote in such large numbers. My majority is about the same as it was in 2015, and I promise them this, that I will always work to make sure that I deliver for them locally, as well as being their champion nationally.
Talking of local and national issues, one that just won't go away, Brexit. What are the Conservatives, should you form the new government, what are you going to do about Brexit to reassure the British people and indeed our European cousins?
Well, I hope that in the morning we will have a result where our Prime Minister has a clear majority in Parliament. In 11 days' time, we begin the negotiations with our EU 27 partners of delivering a Brexit deal. My message to the other political parties in Parliament is for them to set aside their party political interests and to put the national interest ahead of everything else. Our last Commissioner in Europe, Jonathan Hill, Lord Hill, very clearly said to my committee, I was on the Foreign Affairs Committee in the last Parliament, that the best strategy to deliver a good outcome, a good Brexit for our country, for those who voted to remain and those who voted to leave, is to come together and back our Prime Minister to deliver that good Brexit. Otherwise, our interlocutors on the other side of the table will use that weakness or those divisions within our democracy, within our politics, to exploit that where they wouldn't necessarily afford us a good Brexit.
Okay, and now closer to home, and that's what local people want to know most about. And this is where you're going to have to really build up their confidence in you and the Conservative Party. A few home truths, as we've seen. You've been MP since 2010. How are you going to reassure people locally who may not have voted for you, who may feel disaffected with the Conservative Party? What sort of policies are you going to bring in to make them feel safe? Because at the moment, even in Stratford-upon-Avon, we have a have and have not society.
Well, I am humbled that 33,000 Stratfordians chose to entrust me with their vote to back me to be their Member of Parliament. I shall never forget that. Every decision I make, I will have those people front and centre of my mind. If we are returned as a government, you're absolutely right to say there are gaps that remain in our society. There's a gender pay gap that we need to do something about, and one of the proposals we have is any organisation, any company with 250 employees or more will have to publish their pay scales, and within that, of course, the gender pay gap will become self-evident if it is there. On the race gap, I should say, the racial inequality in our country, the Prime Minister has commissioned an audit of all of the public sector, and we are committed to publishing that in July, warts and all, to see whether the public sector is colourblind and is actually recruiting the best and the brightest, and is making sure that people from ethnic backgrounds are getting the opportunity to also work and give into our public services. And of course there is the mental health issue. There are far too many people with mental health problems who are being excluded from the workplace unjustifiably. I think we're going to look at the Mental Health Act to make sure that's also working. There are 1 million people who want to work, who have physical or mental health issues, who are at the moment not being able to work, and I'd like to work very hard to make sure we get them back into work. Homelessness is very important. We passed a homelessness bill where we are pledging to halve the rate of homelessness in our country in the next 5 years. Big challenges for us, big challenges for us locally as well as nationally, and of course most importantly housing. We need to make sure that young people can actually get their foot onto the housing ladder in our villages, in our towns, keep them here. They're the lifeblood of villages, so that the local shop can remain open, so that local primary schools can remain open in those villages. Otherwise they will go elsewhere. And I think it's important that we have a strong housing strategy, which I think the District Council has now, because it's got its core strategy in place. And I hope to work with my colleagues at the District to make sure we deliver that too.
Newly elected MP to Stratford-upon-Avon, Nadhim Zahawi, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I look forward to many more interviews with the Herald.